The Dark Brotherhood, the feared assassins of ill repute. They kill for the glory of Sithis to feed their dread father poor souls, attempting to sate his never-ending hunger. So as an assassin's guild, or rather death cult, that only really exists for the explicit purposes of killing, you would expect many psychotic, deranged murderers and outright batshit insane serial killers from all walks of life to find themselves comforted within the embrace of the Night Mother and her family. But that is the question. Where do these murderers come from? How did they find themselves in this dark cult of slaughterers? What kind of people are they? What juicy secrets lay hidden in their pasts? These violent cultists possess many interesting backstories, so let's see what secrets they hold.
Well, I enjoy moonlit nights, taking long walks on the beach, knitting, and unicorns. In fact, I once took a seaside stroll on a moonlit night and discovered a unicorn, which I proceeded to stab in the throat with a crochet needle. I'm a woman of refined yet simple tastes.
This is Gabriela, a Dunmer assassin who is clearly psychotic, with just the kind of ideal temperament for this type of profession. To kill a unicorn with a needle is no quick task. It was more than likely quite a few punctures, and it would have taken a while to bleed out. But despite what bouts of what seemed to be manic glee while killing, she remains rather professional and polite. And in contrast to some of the other members of the family, she seems to be a little more of a traditionalist. When the Night Mother arrives with Cicero, she expresses that the matron is deserving of unwavering support and respect compared to some of the others. She even expresses pity for Cicero, not blaming him for his attack on Astrid, admitting shame in mocking him and disrespecting the old ways. But Gabriela is not particularly forthcoming about her past, so we'll have to do some piecing together and speculating. So we know for sure she is a fan of the old ways and is a Dark Brotherhood traditionalist. She also has a pet spider called Liz. Perhaps a fondness for spiders comes from her interest in knitting. In conversation with Babette, she talks of how she uses her sexual appeal and seduction techniques to drop her target's defenses, and she further adds how this is a tactic she usually goes to. Now, there isn't heaps to go on here for this little point I want to throw out there, but perhaps she could be connected to the Daedric Prince Mephala in some way. I mean, she is a Dunmer, and Mephala is one of the anticipations that the Dark Elves traditionally worship. Mephala's sphere is also lies, sex, and murder, all facets of which Gabriela embodies in her assassination technique. And then finally there is the spider connection, her pet spider Liz, along with the fact Mephala is known as the web spinner, connected with spiders. Now, Mephala also sees each life as a portion of a massive web, all connected, which implies some kind of extra foresight, to be able to see what affects what and who affects who, through surveying this massive web of life. It's for this reason Mephala is often considered the sibling of Hermaeus Mora, the demon of knowledge. But what makes this relevant and interesting is that Gabriela is associated with some kind of foresight ability. Gabriela, in conversation with Festus Crex, tells him that she feels that her death is coming soon, and this would be proven true after the assault on the sanctuary by the Penitus Oculatus. And on top of that, she is close friends with a character called Olava the Feeble. Gabriela gives you a token that can be given to Olava, who is a seer, to receive a telling of your future. She guides you to the ancient shrouded armor, but also accurately predicts the future of the Dark Brotherhood questline. There's a cave. No, not a cave. A home. A place you feel secure. You will find safety there. Sanctuary. I see snow, lit by the Star of Dawn. This is a reference to the Dawnstar Sanctuary, and you are not alone. There are others, a Child of Night, aka Babette, the Child Vampire, a Stalker of the Sands, aka Naseer, a Redguard assassin from Hammerfell. Oh, but before your family there will be blood, such blood. And that last bit there prophesizes the slaughter of the Dark Brotherhood family. So when you add it all up, there are some interesting connections between Gabriela and Mephala's sphere. The spider, the knitting fabric / weaving web, the use of seduction to murder, the foresight. While there are no direct connections, there's a lot of thematic similarities. And then consider that the Night Mother is often theorized to be an aspect of Mephala. And there is Gabriela's reverence of the Night Mother, more so than the other members, and also her reverence for the old ways. Remember, Gabriela is an elf, so her lifespan could be quite long. Perhaps she was once once affiliated with the Morag Tong and found what she felt was the true form of Mephala in the Night Mother. Perhaps though she could just be a psychotic nymphomaniac murderer. I'd be very curious to see what you guys think in the comments.
I like to say I was born with a wand in my hand. Well, not literally. You could see how painful that would have been for Mother. But I was a prodigy, casting simple spells by 1, completing complex incantations by 3, resurrecting corpses by 7. Ah! When I was 13, I accidentally burned down the family home. Bit of lightning gone awry. Oh, but soon after I mastered my gifts completely. I went on to teach at the college. Left after 2 years. Too simple, too safe. None of them truly understood the glory of the Destruction School.
Festus Crex, as he so humbly just told you, is a prodigy, a magical master by the age of 13. This makes him a somewhat unconventional assassin. He throws all the daggers, bolts, poisons, and stealth right out the window. He likes to waltz right up to his target, introduce himself, and melt their face off with an amazing spell. He talks of testing new spells on targets, such as one that nearly turned a man completely inside out. Now, Festus is one of the others with respect for the old ways, and rejoices when Cicero arrives with the Night Mother, saying that it's a good thing because the Dark Brotherhood had been reduced to a group of common cutthroats. I mean, he looks to be in his 70s at least, so it would seem that he has been with the Dark Brotherhood for a long while. During a bit of conversation, you can find out that he was actually married once, long ago, but that marriage was short-lived, as on his honeymoon, his new bride made the bathwater lukewarm instead of tepid, a small difference for which he killed the, quote, stupid cow. It's safe to say that I think Festus is as psychotic as he is magically talented.
Once I was a shadow scale, an assassin in service to the King of Blackmarsh, trained by the Dark Brotherhood since the day of my hatching. But that was a lifetime ago. Today, I am the last of my kind. My order is extinct. Now, I happily serve Astrid in this sanctuary. I am a trained killer, and once again have been given purpose. Life is good.
Vizara is an Argonian shadow-scale assassin and incredibly loyal to Astrid above all. He expresses that while he respects Sithis and the ancient ways, he has never been one for religion. He kills because that is what he knows and what he is trained to do. As long as Astrid is happy, he is happy. He constantly encourages you to put Astrid above all else and even throws himself in the way of Cicero's strikes to defend Astrid from the Jester. It would seem that this steadfast loyalty for Astrid is born out of her preserving his life's purpose. You see, the Shadow Scales are a lost order. Once all Argonians born under the star sign of the Shadow were dubbed Shadow Scales and given to the Dark Brotherhood for training. Once the Archon training facility closed down in the latter half of the Fourth Era, it would seem that no new Shadow Scales would be trained, making Vizara believe that he is the last of his kind. As the Dark Brotherhood collapsed and was reduced to the small number that it is now, it would have been a blessing for Vizara to find Astrid and be given purpose once again. For without the Shadow Scales or the Dark Brotherhood, surely his life would have remained aimless. We don't know if he truly is the last Shadow Scale, but if he is, then it would seem they have been entirely wiped out after his death during the sacking of the Falkreath Sanctuary.
Ah, well, I'm Redguard, as I'm sure you've noticed. Though not like most of my kind you'll find in Skyrim. That's for damn sure. I am a child of Hammerfell, born of the sands of the mighty Alakir. In that great desert, blood is a shade of crimson I can scarce describe. My past is long and storied, and not altogether proud. But the Dark Brotherhood saved me from myself, and I have never looked back.
Naseer is the aforementioned Stalker of the Sands, the blood spiller of the Alakir. His backstory is rather vague, but let's see what we can piece together about this serial scimitar slasher. His garbs are much like the clothing of Kamatu and the other Alakir warriors that we can meet while questing to find the Red Guard woman in Whiterun, but instead, his are red. Now, this doesn't tell us all too much about his past that he isn't already forthright about. He is from the Alakir Desert in Hammerfell, but what else can we pick up? Well, he can remark about how he learned to cook from his father, whom he then killed afterward. Perhaps that is one of the things he is ashamed of, but he doesn't seem too torn up about it. I really wonder what he could have done in his past that, as he says, he is not proud of. Perhaps he went the way of Sadia and ratted information to the Thalmor during the war between the Dominion and Hammerfell. For sure, that has the gravity to make even a murdering assassin feel shame to rat out your very home. That's just a guess. As a character, he seems to be quite sarcastic and jokes around a lot, treating most things lightly. And like Visara, he holds Astrid in great esteem, trumping even his devotion to the Night Mother. But I can't help but think there must be more to Naseer's past. But unfortunately, Naseer's long and storied past remains unknown. Not to fuel any cross-universe tinfoil whack-job theories, but he is voiced by Eric Todd Dellums, the same guy who voiced Three Dog in Fallout 3. So, do with that what you will.
I'm just a little girl. The Dark Brotherhood killed my mama and papa, and then they took me captive. Please, please help me. Rather convincing, don't you think? In truth, I'm no more a little girl than you are. I was once, of course, 300 years ago. Vampirism tends to keep one remarkably fresh.
Babette is bound to be one of the most unusual characters you will ever meet. She has the unique predicament of eternal childlike youth. For over 300 years, Babette has lived a childhood like no other. She became a vampire roughly about the 334th year of the Third Era, and was probably born some 10 or 12 years prior, given her appearance. This means she has seen a lot in her lifetime. She lived through the events of the Elder Scrolls Arena, Daggerfall, Morrowind, and Oblivion. She saw the Septim Dynasty fall, Red Mountain explode, and Tamriel descend into chaos. She lived through the Oblivion Crisis, the rise of the Aldmeri Dominion, the threat of Umbriel. Hell, she lived through pretty much everything relevant to the modern day. The amount of change she would have witnessed would have been astounding. According to her, she joined the Dark Brotherhood about 200 years ago, which means she spent some 100 years without. Perhaps she was alone all that time and finally found a family in the Dark Brotherhood, or perhaps she was once with a vampire clan. But once she joined, I would suspect that the guild has been nothing but beneficial for her. A vampire makes for a perfect fit in the guild, and the contracts provide a source of blood that as a vampire she would have probably sought out anyway. 200 years as a Dark Brotherhood assassin gives her quite the killing experience. Her childlike appearance is leveraged so that others let their guard down, perceiving only an innocent little girl, and I would suspect that this is what helped her thrive as a vampire for so long. We do not, however, know the specific strain of vampirism Babette has. It's entirely possible that it is not Volkihar blood, but instead a vampire strain from a foreign land. Consider that she is also a Breton, so it could be one of the Iliac Bay strains, or something else entirely. Babette, over her many years, has also developed some skill with alchemy. I mean, she has had 2 centuries as an assassin in the Dark Brotherhood to learn from the best and hone her skills as a poison crafter. It's unfortunate we are not privy to more information about her past, because surely in all that time, there are many tales to tell.
Look, if you're trying to get to know me, don't. I don't like you, and I never will. It's nothing personal, but my wife trusts you, and I trust her judgment, so you can't be all bad. Here's all you need to know. I'm a werewolf. I like killing things. I love Astrid. I hate annoying people, and the color blue gives me a headache.
Arnbjorn, the husband of Astrid and resident werewolf assassin, and once he was a member of the legendary Companions in Whiterun, the honourable mercenaries of ancient Nordic tradition. Clearly, he is a powerful warrior, for he made his way into the circle of the Companions and was offered the gift of lycanthropy, as all circle members are. But somewhere along the way, there must have been a shift in method for him, a change. He was asked to leave the Companions for his unsettling methods that were offensive to other members. members. I can really only imagine it was something like dishonorable fighting that was offensive to other members, like underhanded methods, maybe like ambushing or poisons. Perhaps he was too aggressive, but either way, he found a family that accepted his killing methods just the way they are. What's interesting is that he likely knew Kodlak and Skjor, given that they are both older members of the Circle. They were probably quite close, considering that there is an almost familial bond created, referring to each other as shield brother or shield sister in the Companions.
This sanctuary has been my entire life since I was a young woman. That's when I first discovered my, shall we call it, aptitude for elimination. I had an uncle, you see. He made certain unwanted advances. So I killed him, and liked it. Then I killed again, and liked it even more, and so on. I was recruited by the Dark Brotherhood, and have been here ever since. I met my husband Arnbjorn, rose to leadership, and now, here we are.
Astrid is the charismatic leader of the Dark Brotherhood, the woman who took its fate into her own hands and helped it live on, despite the lack of a new listener to guide the guild. She is the next chapter in the Dark Brotherhood's history, and the Night Mother a prior one, and she intended to keep it that way. She has garnered the respect and admiration of all her family, such a love that it has even trumped their devotion to the Night Mother, except for the cases of Gabriela and Festus. Her past seems rather straightforward. She killed once, she liked it, and now she kills for a living. She has made herself invaluable to the lives of the other members, with many crediting her with giving them purpose. She has a talent for leadership and a knack for gaining the admiration of others. Though it would seem eventually all this praise goes to her head, and her hubris would be her downfall, as she desperately tries to maintain control of the Brotherhood despite the Night Mother choosing a new listener. Unfortunately for her, it is Astrid's Dark Brotherhood that would become the closed chapter.
Oh, stranger! You have made Cicero so happy, so jubilant and ecstatic, but more, even more, my mother thanks you. Here for your troubles, shiny, clinky gold, a few coins for your kind deed, and thank you again.
Part of Astrid's demise came at the hands of Cicero. While not directly, it was he who brought the Night Mother to the Falkreath Sanctuary, and with it, the revelation of a new listener. This Mad Hatter was not always this way, for this short, jovial jester was once completely sane. He was originally a member of the Bruma Sanctuary in Cyrodiil, but in the year 186 of the Fourth Era, it was destroyed, and he found refuge with the Cheydinhal Sanctuary. As sanctuaries fell throughout Tamriel, the Black Hand was split on the Brotherhood's actions going forward. Meanwhile, he carried on with contracts, even posing as a starstruck fan, or you could say adoring fan, of the Grand Champion of the arena, in order to get close to him and proceed to slit his throat. By the year 188, Breville had erupted into violence, with the two largest skooma traffickers in all-out war. Alassane Dupre, the listener of the Dark Brotherhood, was burnt alive in a storm of mage fire while defending the Night Mother's crypt. Garnag, another Dark Brotherhood assassin, managed to return with the Night Mother's coffin, losing his right eye in the process. Anxiety was building within the Cheydinhal Sanctuary as a new listener was not yet chosen. The Night Mother did not speak. Cicero was appointed keeper of the Night Mother's remains by the Black Hand member Rasha. Cicero was both honoured and deeply saddened because taking this new role meant the end of his contracts. However, Rasha promised him one final contract, a jester. Months went by and no listener was chosen. The situation seemed more and more dire. Cicero thinks back to his hours with the jester, his last kill, stating he was honoured to know him. By the year 189, Rasha had declared himself listener, but he could not state the binding words. He was a liar. Cicero persuaded Garnag to kill the deceiver, leaving only three: Garnag, Pontius, and Cicero. As many more months go by, Cicero descends into madness, growing obsessive with the jester he had killed. Pontius is killed by a common bandit on the streets of Cheydinhal, but Cicero can only laugh. Garnag leaves for food at one point, but never returns. He had abandoned Cicero in his madness, and left the Dark Brotherhood behind. By the year 192 of the Fourth Era, he says this in his journal: Cicero is dead. Cicero is born. The laughter has filled me so very completely. I am the laughter. I am the jester. The soul that has severed as my constant companion for so long has breached the veil of the void finally and forever. It is now in me. It is me. The world has seen the last of Cicero the man. Behold Cicero, fool of hearts, laughter incarnate. Cicero had gone mad and lost track of time, surviving caring for the Night Mother's corpse. But by the year 200, he abandons the Cheydinhal Sanctuary in search of the Dark Brotherhood, and one of his letters reaches Astrid of the Falkreath Sanctuary. He remains skeptical, though, of how Astrid was running a sanctuary without a listener, without the old ways. So he takes a boat with the Night Mother in tow to the abandoned Dawnstar Sanctuary. He tries hopelessly again to hear the voice of the Night Mother, but she does not speak. So finally, he accepts that his role will not change. He is the keeper, not the listener. He decides to head to the Falkreath Sanctuary and show Astrid the error of her ways. And then we know the rest of the tale from here. But Cicero's past is the most extensively detailed thanks to a few self-written journals that we have of his. Another Elder Scrolls game goes by, another Dark Brotherhood cast of characters almost entirely killed off. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the secret pasts of the Dark Brotherhood members in Skyrim. Remember to add in plenty of speculation in the comments. I'm really keen to see what you can come up with. Do please like the video if you enjoyed it, and remember, every single like means a septum goes to rebuilding the Dark Brotherhood for Elder Scrolls 6, so get on it. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Scott from Fudge Muppet, and I'll be back to nerd out with you again next time.